Welcome back to Video Game Vibes. I am your boy Grog Games or Super Potion, whatever you would like. I am here with my compatriot, PatriotJax. Jax, say hello.
How are we doing, everyone? I'm doing really well. It's a day after my pregnant wife's due date, so our baby is late. So I'm still able to record this pod.
Huge.
By the time the pod is out, the baby will definitely be born.
Oh my gosh, so many changes. New podcast, new baby. Well, I don't know. Jax, what's your favorite part about the baby coming? What are you excited for?
Honestly, I'm just genuinely excited to just do it and experience it all. And that sounds really like lame and stuff, but I just want it to be here now. We've sort of 9 months and a day, so kind of I want it to happen already.
Yeah, just want the excitement of being a parent to start. That's always interesting. I am not quite there yet, but we'll see what happens.
I was gonna ask, like, okay, I'm 31.
Yep.
How old are you?
If
you don't mind,
I will say it for the podcast. I am 30 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's why I said we're the same age.
Okay, well, I thought you were a bit more younger than me, but that makes
Thank you.
Better.
I appreciate that. No, we're in the same boat.
Nice. That's good. Yeah. But no, I'm really excited, and yeah, I guess we'll just, as I say, we'll see how it goes. Very, very excited. So yeah, thank you. Send your wishes and thank yous.
Yeah, it's I'm excited for you too. It's actually it's funny that you're having a baby now, because my best friends just told us that they are also having a baby, which is one of those things where it's like exactly like you said, we're just at that age where finally growing up and becoming an adult. But I am not at the same adulting level as you probably, Jax. I did the exact opposite this weekend from what you did. And I thought it was funny that our podcast for HADES falls on the same weekend that this happens to me. We have a yearly tradition with my friend group and like their parents called Beer Olympics, where we go to my friend's parents' house, and they live in like the country on a farm and stuff, so there's lots of room, and everyone dresses up as a Greek god or goddess. And
that's so awesome.
We're all wearing togas, and there's a scoreboard, and we essentially just drink and play like yard games and stuff like that. And how it works is if you drink one beer, you get 1 point, and if you win a game, you get 2 points. And then at the end of the night or the morning afterwards, you look and see who won. I was Zeus, of course.
Nice.
Because I had to be. I'm actually Zeus every year. It's really funny because I was like trying to figure out what god I want to do the first time we did it. And I was at Goodwill, and which is like a thrift store for people that don't know. Yeah. And I just randomly looked and saw a pair of lightning bolts. They're just sticks that are taped together, but they're spray painted gold. And I'm like, did some child use this in a play or something? And I'm like, that's fate. I have to be Zeus. Yeah, so that is what I did last night, actually. But, I did okay. I did not win, if you were wondering. I did not win. I got a solid, I think, 26 points, 24 points.
Curiosity, which god won?
Either is so my friend's family, they are very good at drinking. So we believe, and I didn't check the scoreboard this morning, but I believe Ares won. Or if not, Dionysus, which is, the god of parties.
Like wine or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fitting, isn't it?
Appropriate. Yeah, it would be appropriate.
Anyway, that's what's going on with me, Jax. Do we have any video game news? I saw that you started playing Stray, right? That you had talked about that prior.
Oh my God.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about that?
Well, if you've not seen it on any of your feeds, the cat game, which is called Stray, it's about a little ginger cat that gets lost and separated from its family. It's the saddest thing ever. and it's like set into like a cyberpunk dystopian world. It's really, really sort of strange looking, but it's really cool. Like the visuals and that are great, and despite the gameplay being sort of very simplistic and straightforward and easy, it's a lot of fun, and it's, if you like cute games, like play it. It's very, very cute. Like the attention to detail on the cat stuff. When you put on when we with Honey put a vest on her after she had an operation, she wouldn't move around. So like we put the vest on, she would refuse to sort of move, and she would just lie on the floor. She would just not move around. And it's the same thing when we tried to get her to wear a leash and go outside. She would just slump to the floor. So when you first get the backpack that you use in the game, that's what the cat does. It just it slumps to the floor and just refuses to move, and like slowly moves its legs along. I was like blown away by the attention to detail and stuff like that. It's great. But I highly recommend it.
I heard a few things too where they just like constantly put you into situations where they want you to act like a cat, even though you totally don't have to. It has nothing to do with the story. Like, for example, I thought I saw a screenshot of like a ball or something that was like almost at the top of a slide, and you're supposed to just walk past it and continue going, but you have the option to be a cat and push the ball down the slide. And they just do a bunch of little stuff like that. So it sounds very relaxing. Yeah.
It's very chill. No, it's very good. I did notice you reacted to a demo of a Metroidvania. What was it called?
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes, I would like to talk about this briefly. Crowsworn is an up-and-coming Metroidvania taking inspiration from Hollow Knight and Dark Souls, and it's going to be really, really cool. We don't really know a ton about it yet, apart from 2 trailers and some stuff from screenshots that the devs have shared with us on Twitter. But they made like $1.2 million on Kickstarter.
Wow!
So it's fully funded. It's like they're gonna put so much effort into it. They went through all the tiers for the Kickstarter, and they ran out of stuff at the end. They're just like, I guess if we get more money, we'll make the game better. But everyone's really excited for it. It just looks super cool. You're just a plague doctor guy with a red cloak and the plague doctor beak mask, and you have a scythe and a gun, and you're shooting like weird Dark Soul monster things, and it's a Metroidvania. So I don't know what else you could want in a game.
It looks very Hollow Knight, like very Hollow Knight. But like the scenery and the visuals and stuff, like it screams. Yeah, these guys played Hollow Knight and wanted to make a game. But,
you are absolutely correct. Yeah, it's very like dark, steampunk-ish feel to it, I guess. Not entirely steampunk, but you get the idea. Yeah. If you watch the trailer, you'll understand immediately what the game's going to be about.
What was it, like the cutscene finishing move, stuff like that. That looked really good. I like that. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, I was surprised about that. There's a random cutscene finishing move. Like he was just fighting a couple enemies, and all of a sudden it flashed to a cutscene of him like shooting this giant fireball-ish thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, we get finishing moves.
It looks really good, I gotta say. So
yeah.
I mean, I have to play Hollow Knight first, but I'll definitely see what that's like next year.
Get yourself in the mood, 100%. But yeah, we've got a lot of time before that. I think it's still TBD right now, but it's supposed to be next year at some point. But hopefully maybe we can talk about it when it comes out.
Yeah.
Shall we get started on Hades, Jax?
Yeah. Well, another roguelike, if you consider that game a roguelike.
Rogue-lite, I would say.
All right.
Yeah. So, first off, if you're hearing this for the first time, this was my pick this week. Not that, we're taking turns or anything, but I was we'll do this one.
It's not that rigid, we swear. No, it's not like that.
It's not that, we're not that structured. But Jax had heard of this game, but had never played it before until I told him. And he's essentially fallen in love with the game, right, Jax? Do you want to tell him just initially...
I must admit,
how jazzed you were to play this game after like the first day? You were like, oh my gosh, I'm addicted.
So as SP said, I heard about the game and I heard about all the awards that it got. It got like 9 or 10 awards from like all these different sort of awards people, and I was like, oh, okay, but the game itself, I was like, it doesn't really look like my thing. And when you were like, oh, you know, it should be something it would be a good game to really talk about, I was like, okay, so I'll give it a go, because I don't play many roguelike games. Like, the only other one that I've been this addicted to was Binding of Isaac, which I still play from time to time, you know, the dungeon crawler roguelikes. But I played this for a bit, and yeah, I'm officially like hooked. I've been playing it pretty much just anywhere in my free time where I'm just sitting around. I'll grab my Switch and I'll play it. And what helped, I think, a little is I enjoy Greek mythology anyway. So the theme I loved from the outset, but also I like how it kind of lends itself to a more casual audience than other roguelikes that are normally really difficult, and I feel like this is more accessible, and it worked for me anyway.
Yeah, it's just such a good game. I'm first off, I'm just so happy that that you enjoyed it. I'm really happy that I could recommend something and you took that much pleasure from it. It was so exciting when you like DM me and I was like, and you were like, I love the game already. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for us to talk about it. So for those of you that have not played it, we'll just quickly describe the intro to the game. Right away, your main character is Zagreus, and he is thrown down from this rampart area, and the game initially just starts. And you don't get to know the characters right away. You sort of know them as they go, but you get the jest that Zagreus is trying to escape out of hell, out of TARDIS, essentially. And you don't really know why. You just think he's sort of rebelling against his father, who is Hades. Zagreus is the son of Hades. That's why the game is named Hades, because we're in Hades' realm. Yeah. And the game is a roguelite where you fight room by room. So you destroy enemies in a room, and then you get to pick a reward from that, and then you move on to the next room. And sometimes there'll be, the majority of the time, there's like two choices between like, do I want to get this reward from this room or this reward from this room? But I like how right away the game is, there's not like, right, Jax? There wasn't a ton of cutscenes or anything before the game started. They sort of just throw you into it.
Yeah, they pretty much just drop you in it. And then it's only really after that first death that you start to understand a bit more about what's going on. And that's the one thing about the game that I think makes it unique compared to others, is that dying is a large part of progressing through the game. And that's why if I'm like comparing it to something like the Binding of Isaac, where it's like you do a run, oh, I died. But you don't necessarily, unless you've done a certain achievement or something, you don't really gain anything from the run. You got as far as you got and you died. Whereas in this, if you collect, you know, there's a lot of different things you can collect, like gemstones and darkness, which, you know, not only improve Zagreus as a character in certain aspects that help you improve, but also to like make the House of Hades a bit nicer, and interactions with the characters in the House of Hades, you learn a bit more about each of them, and you can progress and deepen your relationships with them. So there's a lot more to the game than just the fighting, and I think that's a large part of it.
Yeah, and you will die a lot. And the reason why this is a roguelite is exactly what Jack said, where you get to buff Zagreus every time you die. And unlike other games where I die and I'm just sad about it, when I die, I am sad about it. But then you essentially go back to the hub, the beginning of the game, and talk to all the characters. And I actually get excited for that part. Like, I don't just like quit the game like, okay, I'm done playing it right now because my run ended. I'm like, no, I want to go back and do my set things. And then you get hooked onto being like, wait, maybe I could just do another run really quick and go through there. Because Jax, at this point, you've beaten, I'm using quotes for those who can't see, beaten the game, correct?
Okay, I have now beaten Hades once, and I did it with the railgun.
Okay.
Actually.
The railgun?
Yeah, that was what I did it with. I OP'd on its special move, and I just made it super powerful, and its range and stuff was just insane. So I actually done it pretty comfortably, and that was my first win.
The grenade launcher part, right?
Yeah.
Dang, that's actually my least favorite weapon. It's the railgun.
I actually really like it, I must admit. I thought, like, we'll talk about the weapons, of course, because there's a wide variety, and also that's another aspect that I really like, that you start with something different, so each run can be a bit different from the last. I love the spear, just in particular. But I've ruined it. I didn't realise when you can level up the weapons as well, and I leveled up the spear. And I did something with it where it was essentially when you throw the spear, I always love throwing it and then it retracting and you get it back. But now you throw the spear and then you sort of charge towards where it is. And I find it so difficult to not do that now. And it kind of messes me up a little. But
well, yeah, let me just throw my 2 cents in here. Since we're talking about weapons, let's just talk about weapons right now. So listeners, yes, there are to start with. You start with the sword in your first run automatically, but there are 6 weapons, right? There is the sword, the bow, the shield, the spear, the twin fists or gauntlets, and the adamant rail, which is the rail gun, as you said. And so every single run seems different, but what's cool is that, as you said, Jax, you can upgrade those. So actually, there are 24 different weapons you can get, because each upgrade is different. So, for example, I upgraded my shield, and I can't remember the exact name for it. It's like Shield of Helios or something like that, or Helios. And normally the shield works where you can throw it, sort of like Captain America style, it bounces off an enemy.
When I first did it, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Captain America.
Or you can like do a bull rush where you just charge towards them, right?
Yeah.
My shield that I upgraded, I can throw it still, but instead of it just like bouncing and coming back, it slowly lags and spins continually. So it does like constant damage, and I can make it where I click and it'll slowly come back to me, and it follows me. So I'm continually moving while the shield is moving.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's cool. So each weapon is still its first primary form. Like it's still a sword, it's still a gauntlet, it's still a railgun, it's still a bow, whatever. But they have small tweaks to how the attacks work that is really representative of 24 different weapons, which is so cool. That's like so many weapons you can start with. Yeah. So, Jax, did you unlock any of the other secondary ones?
I've only upgraded a couple, so I don't really, in my head anyway, I don't really think of them as sort of second, like a different type of weapon. Because can you choose to use the original type? Is that an option or not?
You can, yes. I was gonna say you can go back
then, because
yeah,
I can't be dealing with this new spear I've got.
No. Can't handle it.
when I fail fighting Hades with the spear, it really gets me down because it's my favorite. It's my favorite weapon.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, I know exactly how you feel. Yeah, no, the starting weapons, it's all form of Zagreus. So it's like those are your original stuff. And then the other ones are just different forms of other people and stuff. I unlocked the last sword one, which is form of Excalibur. And it's a freaking broadsword that's way slower than the regular sword. So I actually hated it at first. But it's got an AoE that you can pop. And like your special is an AoE too, and it puts this weird 10-foot like circle around you, right? And anything that goes in that circle slows down. So any projectiles that come towards you just slow down, and you take 10% less damage while in that field.
That does sound pretty good. I think we are sort of going off on a bit of a
small tangent. You're correct.
Into the weapons. Let's bring it back, because I don't think we delved sort of quite enough into the story itself and the characters.
Yes, because the characters are amazing.
So, yeah, they are. So let's just, in our minds, let's think of the House of Hades. It's when you start. So obviously the character that I like talking to, he's one of the more well-known sort of names in Greek mythology and stuff, is Achilles. And
yeah,
I'm very much trying to deepen my relationship with him. I'm not sure what you get out of it towards the end. I haven't got that far. Aside from getting trinkets from each character once you give them a certain item, I've never completely deepened relationships with anyone. So I don't know if you have.
I haven't actually, and that's one of the things where I got sucked into the gameplay so much that I haven't been doing as much like side story stuff. For anyone that doesn't know, yeah, so that's one of the things you can get in the rooms. This is the elixir, and you can give it as a gift, and then you go through like a scale of like 1 through 10 hearts or whatever. But yeah, I think it's just more of a storyline thing.
Yeah, I think it's so you learn more about each of the characters. So you've got, in the beginning, Achilles is in one little area. Nyx, who is essentially Zagreus's surrogate mother, and that's kind of where the story begins, because Zagreus discovers through like almost like a flashback sort of thing that you experience that Nyx isn't actually his mother, and his mother is back in Greece, and that's why he's trying to escape, because he's trying to find her. And as you sort of progress and stuff, you get closer and closer. And then, obviously you finally do, but, I won't go into too much. I don't want to.
Yeah, we won't spoil it.
To be fair, I only know so much. I've only gotten there once anyway, to be fair, so. But there's some of the characters in the area, like the, I forget her name. Is it Dusa? The little Gorgon maid.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
Dusa. Dusa, the small chibi Medusa head.
Yeah. Her and the Skelly are like really good comic relief in the area. Like, I think it's really good. As well as Zagreus's banter with one of the first bosses, which is Meg. The banter they have is actually really good as well. So you get these relationships. I mean, like you say, when you die, you actually enjoy, just sort of sorting out the hub area, if you like, and talking to people and stuff. But I guess the other thing we should really talk about is the rest of the characters that you discover through the boons or the abilities that you get given by the gods that are trying to help you escape.
Yes. So during the gameplay itself, when you go through certain doors, you can either pick treasures that will help upgrade Zagreus after a run, or you can get boons from the gods or goddesses of Olympus, who essentially somehow found out about you, and they're like, oh, we're going to help you escape. And they bequeath you their powers and abilities. Yes, I said bequeath.
Nice. Correct use of the term.
Yeah. And so, oh my gosh, I'm going to try. I don't even have a list of all their names in front of me right now, Jax, so bear with me.
You don't need to go through.
No, you don't want me to name all of them? No, it's not like quiz, Pokemon. Okay, who's your favorite, though? Or what's your favorite ability?
I was going to say, I'll tell you what my favorite boon is, and it's actually a common one, and it's from Athena, and it's the dash that allows you to reflect opponents' ranged attacks. Because for me, whenever you get in a situation where you've got like witches that are spewing out loads of attacks all at once, to just have fast and quick dashes that reflect it all back, like I find that to be so valuable for me. But I'm also a fan of Ares's movesets, if you like.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. The Athena deflect dash, I realized the first time I got it, I was like, this is OP. This is ridiculous.
Right?
It's like having an iframe that reflects, that does damage. Imagine if like you have an iframe so you don't take damage, and then your opponent takes the damage instead. That's sort of how it works, which is so cool, because the other dash abilities aren't as great.
I do like Ares dash, because it leaves that his, like, I don't know what you call it, like blade cyclone thing. That's kind of cool, and that works really well against Hades. But
yeah, just having like set AoE spots of like taking damage even though it's not a lot.
Yeah.
I think Dionysus is my boy. He's my favorite.
I mean, appropriate for your channel name, you know?
Yeah, very appropriate. Grog Games, Dionysus, god of the party and all that, of wine. Uh, his ability is essentially a dot damage over time. So he just poisons your enemies, essentially. He doesn't do it directly. What we're trying to explain for the abilities is, like, you'll get Dionysus's boon, and one thing we didn't mention, Jax, is, like, when you get the boon after completing the room, you get 3 different options of what you want from that god.
Yeah,
so
you get a choice.
Yeah, you get a choice, which I think is just a small great way for the game to essentially give you more freedom in how you want to play and build Zagreus for that specific run.
I was going to say, it allows you to rather than and again, I'll apologize for anyone that I'm randomly always comparing Binding of Isaac, but it's the only real roguelike that I can sort of compare it with. So, like you say, you get that choice, so you're able to build Zagreus the way you want, almost to a certain extent. Whereas with the Binding of Isaac, the items that you get, sometimes you get 2 items, for example, but a lot of the time it's just the one, and you're less in control with how the run's gonna go. Whereas, like I say, with this, you get a choice of 3 options, and over time you can improve your chances of getting better options from the gods.
Yeah,
I just want to go back quickly and just talk about
Please
how
do.
every time you interact with the boons, or sometimes you can gift them, like you say, the elixir, the ambrosia, you get more conversations with them, and you deepen your relationships with them and learn more about each of them. And just as someone that enjoys Greek mythology, like a long time ago, I did a free online course on Greek mythology, and just talking to them, obviously, like in Hades, it's not like super educational, and it's sort of its own created story, if you like. And Zagreus is very much like not a large character in Greek mythology, and that's why that's why they were able to sort of build sort of a character around Zagreus anyway. But it's just
I was just about to ask. I thought Zagreus was not a Greek. Like, I thought he was a made-up character. Is he actually in Greek mythology?
I think there is something to him. I don't think he's completely made up, but there's very little. I think he is a name that appears in it.
Greek mythology is the only... Please don't judge me, listeners. Is the only history that I have any interest in, to be completely honest. I always thought Greek mythology was amazing. I took a course in college on it. So I actually... I remember we read Dante's Inferno was great. Not the same thing, but essentially, yeah. I love Greek mythology too. I had no idea that Zagreus was a character though, so good to know.
I mean, like I say, he's not like one that you'll probably recognize.
You're right.
If you're into it, but apparently, yeah, he existed in some capacity in Greek mythology.
No, it's just cool that they can take an idea. I mean, Zagreus was like a blank canvas. They were like, okay, we know there was a character that was like this. Let's turn him into this whole big thing, and he's the central part of the game.
This is the thing, because originally the developers were going to use Theseus as their main character, who is actually one of the bosses, the boss in Elysium in one of the
god
of Hades. Yeah. So they were originally going to use Theseus, but his story and what was wrote about him didn't really work for what they wanted to, and that's when they discovered Zagreus, who was there was lesser known about him, which allowed them to create a story around him, which works really well because the game is freaking brilliant.
Yeah, 100% brilliant. Theseus is my least favorite person, by the way, in the game.
He would not have been a good protagonist.
He's so cocky.
With good reason, to be fair. I've died to him many times.
Yeah, when I got to him for the first time, he kicked my butt, and I was like, is this the final boss? Why is this so hard?
I think it's when you fight Asterius first, like the Minotaur, and then you don't kill him, and then you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of weird. And then you come back and you're fighting him and another guy, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna die, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Minotaur killed me the first time too, and I was like, "Dang, wow, that sucks." And I came back, and then when I saw him at the end when he was with Theseus, I was like, "What do you mean? There's two of you and there's one of me? Why are they doing this to me? This isn't fair." And then Theseus uses a boon from the gods, and I'm like, "What?" And especially if it's a boon that you have too, and he's
Yeah.
like calls the favor of the god that's supposedly helping you. Let's move on to a next topic, which I think is brilliant. One of the more brilliant reasons why the game is so addictive is the currency system. And before, for the longest time playing, I didn't really pay attention to each individual currency and how they related to each other. Because I was just playing the game. I was so into it. I was so into the gameplay. I was like, okay, I'll collect all the stuff. At some point, I'll figure out how to efficiently use it and go from there. And, Jax, I'm sure at this point, right, you have the shop that's in the central hub for Hades?
I know there's a place where you can trade stuff.
Yeah, the trading post is what I meant.
Right.
Sorry.
Was that not always there? Or did I miss
I
something?
I don't think you started with it. I don't believe. I thought you got it after like your third run or something like that. I couldn't remember. It's been a lot. I've played the game a little bit more than Jax, so I can't remember the beginning of the game as well as him.
I can see where you're sort of getting to, because I've only just discovered how once you, for example, use up your darkness gemstones to essentially, that's for upgrading Zagreus to help you in your runs, you become stronger. They then sort of, you can't really use them for anything, so you can trade them in for other sets of currency like gemstones, or keys or ambrosia or other stuff that does other things that you still need to do, which is really clever, you know.
Can you trade in darkness? Because I don't think you can. I think you can trade in everything else apart from darkness.
Did I just get that completely wrong? I will cut that out.
Yeah, like that is the only thing you can't trade. So like darkness is so useless now for me because I've basically maxed out almost all of the mirror.
Yeah, no, so have I. Yeah.
So anytime I get a darkness door, I'm like, no, I didn't need you. I'd rather have gems or something. But it's the currency I now understand fully is very unique. It essentially is a pyramid, pretty much. So it goes, all right, ready for this, Jax? Gems are the lowest, then chaotic keys, then nectar, and nectar is what we were talking about before when I said elixir. Nectar is what you give to people for their storyline stuff. And from nectar goes diamonds, then ambrosia, which is the second level of nectar.
Right, okay, yeah, I
got elixir.
Ambrosia mixed. I haven't used any of that. I don't know how to use it.
I have also not used it.
Okay.
And then lastly is Titan Blood, which unlocks weapons. And diamonds also, you can talk to these ghost guys in the hub, and they'll, like what Jax had said prior, they'll build stuff for you. And there's a couple of good stuff that the diamonds are used for to help during the run. Like, for example, one of them is you get more currency from a chest that you find during the run, essentially. Or you'll get, like, a fountain which will heal you, which sometimes you need desperately. But I just thought it was very clever how they made, I said pyramid, it's a line. It's essentially a line, but it's a continued order of the currency and how they directly affect each other. You don't always see that in games. Like, if games have multiple currencies, sometimes they'll just not interact with each other at all. There's no, like, flow rate between the two. In Hades, essentially, if I'm like, okay, I got a lot of gems, I can just turn my gems into keys, turn that into nectar, and then if I get enough nectar, I can get a diamond. So essentially, you're just upgrading your currency continually until you get all the good stuff. And it's really cool. It's cool. I'm just starting to do that now. So I still don't have everything unlocked, but I thought that was a really brilliant idea from them.
Add to that there is more than one way to actually get some of these currencies. Mainly because I want to bring up the fact that you can fish in this game.
Yes.
Fishing
Yes.
is legitimately a thing. How many times have we talked in this pod that you can fish? At least once already.
We will be talking about fishing for the rest of the pod for all eternity, so get used to it. We love fishing in video games. Yeah, when I saw that there was fishing, because they do a good job too of spreading out all these things we're describing.
Yeah.
I'm sure the viewers and listeners, please do not get us wrong. The stuff that we're telling you about is fantastic, but they spread it out so well that you are not overwhelmed by all these things right away when you're playing. They slowly ease you into it. I don't think fishing comes up until you've died a couple times.
It's entirely up to you. Arguably, you could not do anything with any of the currencies. I mean, if you want to go completely hardcore, you could, like you say, you could just not upgrade Zagreus at all. You could not upgrade any of the weapons or anything like that and just go through and do your runs. What I really like about this game, and comparing it to other roguelikes, is the fact that Zagreus has gotten stronger and gotten better. Like, I have, for example, a couple of lives that I really appreciate having when I'm in a fight with Hades, for example, because I haven't leveled up my weapons like you have, for example. So to have a couple of lives that give me a bit more extra health so I could just maybe get over the line is really good to have. And I enjoy playing it now that I'm stronger. I can progress, and I don't know if other roguelikes or rogue-lites, as you say, I don't even know that term, so that makes a lot of sense. I don't know how many are there that already do that, but Hades does it really well, and like you say, I'm someone who doesn't normally play these games, and I'm so addicted to it, I'm probably going to play it when I go up to bed after this podcast, to be fair.
I was about to say, I might just play it after the pod. I'm getting the fever for Hades again right after this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the building off of the fishing, just to go back to that, because that was a point that I did write down, was side aspects about the game. Little side things that give a flair to the game, but like Jack said, you don't have to do. You completely ignore if you want to. Fishing is one, so you'll just randomly come across fishing spots. If you get a fish, later when you go back to the hub, when you die, you can give it to a chef, and he'll just give you random rewards like gems or whatever from that. There's also, we briefly mentioned it, decorating of rooms. So if you get gems, you can use it to improve your run by getting fountains, or you can literally just do cosmetic stuff in the hub if you want to. Not everyone's going to want to do that, but it's something you can do. For example, I have a picture of Aphrodite on my wall right now, which was completely worth it.
I was just going to say, admittedly, when I first saw that you could like cosmetic redecorate, I was like, what is, like, I don't care about this, and now I'm doing it. You know, I'm spending the gemstones on putting flowers in there and all that stupid stuff, and you know, it's not necessary at all. And like you say, I could just leave it, or I guess, you know, I've now got to save up for the Aphrodite poster to go up in his bedroom.
Have to. Yeah, no, it's completely worth it. Another thing which you do not have yet, it's not necessarily a spoiler, but there's a records room. Essentially, it's just a thing that they always do in games where they're roguelikes and stuff, where it says like your recording of like how many wins you have, your stats for how many enemies you killed with each weapon and stuff like that. Why are you smiling? Did you get that?
I have unlocked yeah, I have unlocked it. Thank you very much.
Okay, I didn't know if you did. I can't remember when it's unlocked.
I almost feel like it's not really worth it, because yeah, you can check out your last run and your stats and stuff. But I don't know. I felt like there was going to be more lore in that room, unless I've just not got there yet.
I think there's a little There's a cutscene at that point. Anyway, I just thought some people enjoy that. There's a lot of like mid-max gamers out there that want to try and get their stats up as high as possible. So I just thought it was another cool aspect. One thing we didn't mention, which is just another side thing for rewards, because there's so many little side reward stuff, is the fated list. There's like a document in your room where it says like the hero Zagreus will get all so and so boons on these checklists, and it says a bunch of checklists. that you can check off continually through your run. So it's not like one run, I got to do all these things. But essentially, they just want you to use all of the abilities that are in the game, so they'll give you a check whenever you do it. And during the run, it'll tell you if you've never done it yet or not. And if you just complete the checklist, you just get a bunch of gemstones, which is really nice. So you always got to look out for new ways to play.
That's the thing. That's actually what I discovered it a little while ago, but now I tend to. That's what I've actually done, guys. This is how addicted to the game I am. So I've screenshotted each god's moveset and what I have and haven't done. And so whenever I get a choice from that particular god, I'll like go to the homepage, scroll to my photo album, look for which one I haven't done, and I will try it out and I'll give it a go and see if it's any good. Because obviously, once you get into a pattern of playing and you start realizing what's good, like Athena's dash, and what stuff you don't really care about, you start doing the same thing over and over. So this obviously, no, it doesn't force you, but it encourages you to try out stuff boons that you haven't before, and it will mix up your run. And you might discover new combinations that you didn't really think would work, or you didn't even know about, and it'll make your run a lot better. And that's what I've been doing lately.
Jax, can I bring up a random point? I just want to make sure that you know this about the game.
Please do.
Because I did not for the longest time. You know the mirror?
What, in the bedroom?
Yeah, the mirror that upgrades Zagreus?
Yeah.
Do you know it's double-sided?
What do you mean? What? Wait,
it's double-sided. There's a notch on the left side that you can click, and it's another list of abilities.
Are you serious?
Yes. See? No one told me either, and I felt so dumb.
Do you know what's stupid about this? Well, a lot of people say, in that same mirror section, there's a little key button that unlocks new ones. And a lot of people say they didn't even realise that key was there so that they could unlock new ones.
Really? Yeah, I was just like messing around with it, and I saw this sponge on the side. I'm like, what does that do? And I clicked it, and it just like the ability went like, well. So there's double the amount of abilities on the mirror.
Okay, I will be looking at that tonight.
yeah. Sorry, just wanted to get you pumped because that was one of the things that I was the most mad about. Probably the thing I disliked about the game the most was just that little part right there.
There's sort of very little to say about the game in a bad way, especially consensus and all the awards it's got. It's done extremely well. I would just moving on to sort of the music and sound design.
Yes.
So what do you think? Because personally, I'm very much like, I think the music's all right. The sound effects work really well. The music's okay, but I've not been blown away by it personally. I can tell you disagree.
So Jax doesn't realize. So this game was made by Supergiant Games, which is a massive, like, they're an indie game company, right? Okay, we love indie games here, but they are one of the big companies. Not big in terms of people, but almost the giant, most well known. Yes,
super giant, almost
super giant. They've created Bastion, which we've talked about, but you have not played. Hopefully in the future we'll get there. But their music, bopping every single time. It's so good. The soundtrack for Hades, when I stream, I put it in my stream playlist. So at the end of the stream, if I'm getting like tired, I have to put the Hades playlist soundtrack on, and then I'm just like awake again. I'm just like, oh my gosh, let's go. The soundtrack is so good, and it's so unique too. What is the character's name in the second area? Who is a tree? What's her name again?
Oh,
the one that sings. Eurydice, yeah. The first time that you walk into her place, she's just singing. And it's like all the other music stops and all you can hear is her singing. And it's so gorgeous and just like such a serene moment that it just builds like the plot for the game and essentially the character building in another aspect Like, it's not like, oh, here's text dialogue. Yeah, there's also sound dialogue that builds up the characters. So I don't know. I thought it was good. Why did you think it was just okay?
For the record, guys, I'm not saying it wasn't good, but it might be the way that I play. Like, I play it a lot on Switch, and I'm always like watching the TV, so the sound's low. It's not off.
Okay.
It's generally low. So maybe I'm not, getting the full. Like, I need to play it on the full screen
Full
a bit
experience.
more.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I need to stream it a bit more. But don't get me wrong. Like, I take your point about Eurydice when you first go in there, but I'm very much just like dash 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 talking to you. So I sort of skip the. You
just were like, thanks for the gifts, bye.
I mean, yeah, like, she does give you some good stuff, to be fair. But no, don't get me wrong. Like, the sound design, like the sound effects and sort of the way it's used, and don't get me wrong, the music's nice. I'm just not blown away by it. Like, if you compare what I said to, like, I don't know, like when we were last talking about Sonic Adventure 2 or Stardew Valley, that music really blew me away, and it hasn't blown me away. It's nice and it works for the game, but yeah, it's just that it's okay. It's okay.
You're entitled to your opinion, as long as you didn't say that it was awful. Jax, I think the last point that I want to bring up, at least, is that I have never heard repeat dialogue in this game at all. The fact that, like, there's so much dialogue, I have no idea how they recorded so many lines with the voice actors. But you would assume, because of a roguelike, you're constantly starting over, you're constantly getting the same boons, you're constantly talking to the same characters. It's repetitive. It's supposed to be. It's a roguelike. So you would expect some kind of overlap in terms of, dialogue or the same thing happening. But I have never heard one of the gods, or like Skelly in the beginning, or Hades when you talk to him, hey dad, what's up? I've never heard repeat text dialogue from them at all. So they must have recorded like hundreds of hours.
I've just looked it up whilst you were just...
Please do.
I also said, when I was playing the game, I was like, it just keeps going. And part of what I guess could be a potential issue with the fact that dying is such a big part of the game is that if everyone remembers, then you can't have repeat dialogue, really. Like, you can in very minor aspects, but for those characters that you're deepening relationships with and stuff like that, it should always be different. And I'll just look. Among the information provided is that there are more than 20,000 lines of dialogue in Hades. That is insane.
What? That is ridiculous.
That is
20,000?
That's bonkers. You think how much time and effort and the voice acting. I'm talking about the music and stuff and the sound design. Voice acting is fantastic. The voices for all the characters. Bravo to the voice actors who did over 20,000 lines is literally ridiculous. And despite initially me thinking I wasn't that impressed with Zagreus himself, he's grown on me over time when he calls everyone mate and stuff like that.
Mate, yeah. He says that a lot.
But that's literally insane. And that's a real key part of making this game so good. They've put so much attention to detail and effort into this, forgetting the fact that visually it looks brilliant. But yeah, I just wanted to briefly touch on the game's early background. So it was an early access game, and it had quite a large fan base behind it. It was really community supported. The developers took a lot from the community in terms of feedback and stuff like that. So they had a feedback system in which the fan base in early access could, like, obviously tell them what they liked, what they didn't like, and so on. And it's why Dooza and Skelly are actually like such big characters, because they all really liked those characters themselves. It's just nice comedic sort of effect in the actual game. So I just wanted to make that point that I think part of the reason the success of the game, obviously from the developers, but a large part is due to that early fan base that the game had before it released in version 1.0.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's super cool. I mean, it's always that's great that like indie games can do that. I feel like indie games definitely have a more transparent veil when it comes to designing their games, and they know and appreciate the community that supports the game, whether they're building it or afterwards. So that's really cool. I had no idea about that they did that for the making of Hades. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really good. But I guess we're going to get to the point of the podcast where we see if it passes the vibe check. I think I know the answer.
I'll start this week actually. For the vibe check, man, I don't know. It's a hard one. Just kidding. It's really not. Hades absolutely passes the vibe. It is such a good game. I really, honestly, it's one of my comfort games. If I have an hour and I just want to chill, I can go ahead and just boot up the PC, put Hades on. I can get through a full run. By the way, one thing we didn't mention, just really quick, runs are like 40 minutes if you try hard enough. So it doesn't take that long to essentially get through a run itself. So it's time efficient. It's beautiful. It's a little intense, but I think still chill at times. And just all the points that we made so far in terms of the voice acting, the bopping music, which Jax disagrees with, all the combinations of stuff that you can do for builds, it's perfection in a game, and you would be seriously deluding is not the right word. You'd be doing yourself a disservice if you did not play Hades. 100%.
Yeah, I just to add to that, if you've not played many roguelikes and you sort of are thinking about it, or you listen to this pod, give Hades a go, because it's one of the more accessible roguelikes, or roguelites, as you say, because you can progress the character and make them stronger. Obviously, as time goes on, the difficulty improves, but the character gets stronger. So you'll feel like you're progressing. It's less, I think, harsh than some other ones.
100%.
But yeah, obviously, I was going to say it passes the vibe check. I did just want to point out, whilst we're doing these sort of every other week, are we going to talk about a game that doesn't? Because I feel like every game we'll talk about will pass the vibe.
You have a valid point. And I would like to counter that point by saying that one day we will bring a video game onto the pod and absolutely trash it. No, we probably won't. But there will be times where if we bring a video game to the pod and we disagree with it, we'll let you know. And maybe then it won't pass the vibe.
It will normally be one of us, I guess. One of us would say it will and the other one won't.
So let's talk quickly about our vibe versus. That is the last thing that we talk about on the podcast, right, Jax? What happened in our vibe versus today?
Well, just before we get into it, I just want to say, obviously we had our announcement live stream about the podcast just prior to this podcast recording, or it was like a week ago, to be fair. But we played Celeste, and I think in my head I was under the assumption that this would count as a vibe versus for this week, but we decided not to, despite the fact that I won that, and I won it. That was a lot closer. If you guys watch a live stream,
it was very close.
It was actually really close. It was chapters 1 and 2 of Celeste. So what I suggested, if we said, okay, that doesn't count, let's play the next chapter of Celeste just before this pod, and that's exactly what we did for this vibe versus. And it started off really bad for me. I don't know why. I had the control.
I was in the lead. I was in the lead.
You were in the lead for like a good sort of solid 3 minutes, I think. And I think sort of like muscle memory must have kicked in, because I've played this not like a few months ago. I think muscle memory kicked in. I was flying through that chapter. And I
can't believe it.
I overtook you at one point, and yeah, it was just history from there, mate. I'm so proud. I've brought it back to 2-2, guys. Hashtag Team Jax for the win.
Hashtag 2 squared. No, Team Grog, please support me in the comments. I need it. Thank you.
Oh, hey, it's a level playing field now, so we've got to see what game we'll be playing next time.
Next time is going to be another game, and it's going to be great. And thank you for listening to us on our podcast, Video Game Vibes.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed it. I will be a father. That will be crazy. I'm so glad we recorded a few podcasts
Wild.
ahead of time, so just in case I miss a date for the recording. But no, it'll be fun, and I'm looking forward to whatever we're talking about next time, guys. So look forward to whatever it is. Thank you guys for listening.
Sick.
Don't forget to 5-star review it, like it if you're on YouTube. Tell your friends, and yeah, thanks again, guys.
Bye.